Welcome to BuzzBoosterTV. Today we are going to talk about our trip to BlogWorld.
Yes.
And a little bit about QR codes.
Yeah.
So, how did you like the trip?
BlogWorld was awesome.
Yeah, you know, we've been going there since the very first one.
We have.
And I think by far this one was one of the best.
Yeah.
I heard they had like 5,000 people there.
That's what I heard.
And
more than 5,000 people.
You sure did like
it. Looked like it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the parties were cool. We're not really party people here.
No, we're boring.
Yeah, we're kind of boring. We don't dance, but they were pretty fun.
Yes.
About the sessions.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say aside from the parties.
Yeah. Well, tons of sessions, and what I like about BlogWorld now is, for me, I think they mature, and you have something for everybody in every single level.
Yes.
At the beginning, it was pretty basic.
It was
the sessions.
way too basic.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
But now I think, I mean, the ones I attended, they were awesome.
That's right. And you know, Shahar, what I really kind of enjoyed about the tracks is that they had a lot of sessions were business focused.
Yes.
Where before it used to be just blogging, and it was mostly just for employees or people who did it as a hobby. And now they had a lot of things that were for business people.
Yeah, and that's important because you know, a lot of people, they have their online business and they need to get to know more about it, how to convert better, and they really had a good mix on that. Well, let me tell you about the sessions I attended.
Tell me.
And the ones I really did like. I attended a session by a guy that is 26 years old, has been online for a year or so. His name is Lewis Ho, and he was talking about webinars. Well, what he said is that he made $500,000 this year, which is pretty good, only using webinars. And he gave some very good tips on how to do it. But you know, really the thing about being consistent in giving webinars, providing more pictures than text while giving webinars. I think that's a very cool tip because I, for one, when I attend one, I also don't like to listen the speaker reading every single line. I think that's a big no-no for me, and that was one of the points he highlighted.
And you know, one of the reasons also that I like when the PowerPoints have more pictures than text is also because a lot of times people, when they're listening, they're really just taking the notes and they're not paying attention. They're just reading what's on there and they're taking notes. And so by having the pictures and giving the content, then they're forced to listen to what you're saying. And so afterwards, when you're transitioning to the calls to action, the sales pitches, then, hey, they're listening because they have to in order to take their notes.
Yes. And one thing he covered in depth was the follow-up after the webinars. Well, we know with teleseminars that 75% of sales happen after the teleseminar, and unfortunately most people do not follow up. Guess what? He also puts a lot of focus in the follow-up sequence 2 days after the webinar. So these are some tips for you from that session.
Yeah, that's really good.
Another session that I did enjoy, I did attend a lot about videos and podcasting because that's what I'm particularly passionate about. I attended a panel, passionate about it. I attended a panel about internet radio, and it was very good. There were two ladies, I'm sorry I don't remember their names right now, they were sharp. And one thing that caught my attention, and that's my tip to you, is that voice is more emotional. Okay, that's very interesting. So when we are always talking about selling to the heart and justifying with the mind, so we sell to the heart, we talk about emotions when we are selling, and the voice is very emotional. Not only that, women have more ear time than eye time, meaning that because we are always multitasking and most of us have kids and you know, busy lives, we tend to listen to audio. We have more ear time to pay attention.
So they might not be watching, but they might be listening.
They might be listening while you're doing 10 other things at the same time. And audio tells a story. That's another very important thing because we always talk about becoming a business storyteller.
Yes.
Just to tell you, it's really aligned with everything we've been saying. The voice always tells a story, which is very interesting.
Yes, extremely interesting.
Yeah. Can I go keep on going?
Sure,
okay.
Keep on going.
Yeah, because I really took a lot of notes about the session.
Good.
She's good. She uses the phone because she's from another generation, you know, but I take more notes with pen and paper. Okay. Another guy, Todd Cochran, talked about podcasting with blogs. It was a very impressive session.
Really?
And he was talking about different ages and their consumption of podcasts. And if I'm not wrong, ages from 36 to 55 years old are they are really the audience that are really engaged into listening or watching podcasts. So his question to the audience was, are you making content for that age group? Very interesting in that. And he said about the videos having more consumption, more adoption, and people really not downloading so much the content, but listening or watching online.
I actually thought two of those things that you mentioned that he said that I thought was very interesting. Ages 12 to 24, if I'm not mistaken, almost don't even consume podcasts. Downloading them, which I thought was wow, because for me that's one of the biggest things is I can download a podcast to my phone and listen to it in the car.
I have sad news for you. You're above the 24 age, 12 to 24.
Well, I'm 26. That's 2 years old.
Yeah. Well, right, but it is.
Anyway, and then the other thing was, see, now I forgot.
Oh boy.
The other thing was, that the majority of people are listening to the podcast on the computer, which was precisely what I was talking about when you so kindly reminded me that I'm 20. Well, anyway.
More than 24.
More than 24. But yeah, that was a mind thing for me.
Blowing thing. And he also stressed a lot the use of the boxes like Roku Box, Boxy, and Google TV coming in, what that is really going to do to video podcasts. You need to be paying attention to that,
and
because that's a huge opportunity for businesses.
Huge opportunity, and that was one of the things that you saw come up, that topic, over and over again. Really, the impact that those boxes will have on TV as a whole.
It's a whole new world.
New world, very exciting, very different.
Yeah, it's starting right now, because I think Google TV releases next week. Samsung TV, if I'm not wrong, 1.6 million, that's what they intend, 1.6 million homes by Christmas. So you should be paying attention to that.
Did Amazon release it already, or what?
That I don't know.
You told me something a little while ago about Amazon TV.
Coming up,
yeah.
He gave those, he didn't mention that. Well, another session that was really cool, and that one I think we attended together, was the panel with Paul Colligan. About YouTube videos.
Yes.
It was really cool. Julie Perry was on the panel, the guy from
Ask a
Ninja, and the other guy
from
that very famous web show.
The first ones.
Yeah, it was one of the first. Rocket Boom, yes. And they all gave very good tips, and the real need for you to pay attention to YouTube more than the other video sharing sites.
Yes. Because
of course the possibility of you ranking in the search engines on one side, and on another side the possibility of you of the amount of searches that already happen on YouTube. YouTube is expected to surpass Google in 2011 in the number of searches. And I said in another video that people, when they know what they are looking for, and actually Paul Colligan said that, people, when they know what they're looking for, they go to Google, and when they are researching, they go to YouTube. So that's where you really get the prospects there. Might be thinking about something related to your product.
But, I think that really puts it in perspective for me, and for people who a lot of times question whether or not videos have a use for them in their business. Oftentimes they think, oh no, my business is different. There's no need for videos. And thinking about it that way might really make a shift in their heads, because hey, if the person knows, if they know that they want a Rolex, if they know that they want a Kodak PlaySport Z3, they'll go to Google and find it. But if they're trying to research the best camera, which one does this, which one does that, which one's waterproof, whatnot, they'll go to YouTube and they'll do the research, and they'll see what other people are saying to figure out what they're making up their mind. So that really is quite helpful. One thing that they all mentioned, Shahar, because like you said, they mostly just focused on YouTube there. Like, it still remains that your video needs to be present in all the other video places, but do spend some energy on YouTube, because what they all said basically is treat it like a social network. So
treat it like you treat Facebook, and pay some attention. Exactly. Because it's a very powerful thing today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were many other sessions that were very good. What about the trade show?
The trade show was great. They had several booths there, all kinds of companies, of course, tons of tech companies. Well, mostly all of them were. But one thing that I thought was very interesting was they had Kodak and Pepsi and Sony. So no, Kodak, Pepsi, and Ford, and they were doing some things that I thought were really neat, trying to engage the users.
Yes, and they had kind of a game going on. Can you explain? So they have a try brochure.
And I brought a brochure. I forgot to bring it today. But basically, they had a brochure, and the brochure had some questions. At least it had a panel. It's trifold. It had a panel for Pepsi, a panel for Kodak, and a panel for Ford. And basically, each of those panels had a QR code. We could show our business card. Do you have a business card on you?
No, I don't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it had a QR code. It's like a little code. It's like a square.
Like a barcode?
Like a barcode. You get your phone and you scan it, and it does something. Sometimes it goes to a website. Sometimes it sends a person a text message. Sometimes it does.
A coupon. There are many uses, especially if you use printed media.
Exactly. Many uses, especially for printed media. It's huge outside the U.S. It's starting to become big here. And so what they did is you would scan the little code for Pepsi, and it would say, hey, watch this video and answer this question. So you had to fill out that watch video ad. Then you scanned the Ford code, and you say, hey, stop by the Ford booth and ask them how many different ways you can change the air conditioning setting in the car. So you would go there. Of course, you'd have to listen, and you write it down, and you do the same for Kodak. Then you turned in that pamphlet, that questionnaire back, and now you entered to win a contest.
So see what they did. Not only partnership with other companies, they used a new technology, QR codes,
very cool,
to bridge printed media with online.
Yes.
The questions were very interactive, so you had to listen to something, watch something.
Yes, and also to compete, you had to check the little boxes and follow them on Twitter and Facebook. Yeah. So right off the bat, they were able to each contestant. They were able to get them subscribed or following Facebook, Twitter for yes. Kodak, all that. So
it's also educating their audience on how to follow them and how to use the tools. It was really brilliant.
Great, super idea.
Super idea. National was the first one to deliver the answers.
I was the first one to deliver the answers.
Get the prize.
I didn't win. I think that personally, because I was the first one, I should have won.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Okay. To close our topic today, we are going to give you 2 tools for you to apply in your business.
Yes.
One, if you're using videos, and of course if you're sharing them in many places, which you should, you also should be tracking the viewership all across the board, because that's a hard data that you can use with advertisers, with clients, in many situations. Yes. Therefore, you should go to tubemogul.com. Spell that.
T-U-B-E. So T as in Todd, U, B as in boy, E, Mogul. M as in Martha, O-G-U-L.
Well, TubeMogul, it has the submission tool, so you can submit to several places using. But the tip today is for you to open an account on their marketplace. Yeah. Put your show there, because that tool will track the viewership across the board. YouTube, Vimler, and all the others, all the places. It grabs that number that you can use later.
Yes.
That's the first tool. The second tool is about QR codes.
The second tool is, well, hey, if you want to do a QR code like we've mentioned, like we've done and like they have been doing and all that, you go to a place called, there are several places actually, but one place that I've used that I enjoy is BeCurious.com, and that is B as in boy, EQRIOUS.com.
Or something similar.
Something similar. It's Be Curious, but it's not curious as you should spell it. It's curious with QR because of QR codes. Go there. It's quite simple. Create an account, free. Create your code. It's basically going to ask you, okay, once we create this code, what do you want them to do? Do you want to send them a message? Do you want to send them to a website? Put in the URL. If it's a website, click generate, save it, and then use it in your printed material.
You can give coupons, giveaways, ethical bribes,
tons
anything. There are many uses for that.
Yes.
Okay, and I think that concludes
our show for today.
I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you make...
I'm sure they did.
Okay, so
right.
You have to remember to go to our site to take some free online training at BuzzBoosterTV.com. See you next time.
See you next time.